Welcome to another episode of the Parables Podcast. My name is EJ Cruz and I am your host. Thank you for joining me on a very special edition of the podcast. And before I do get right into it, being that it is the first episode recorded for 2019, I do want to wish everyone a happy New Year's. And I wish everyone nothing but love, nothing but health, nothing but wealth and prosperity. So I'm very excited about today's episode. Today is a special one in that it is the start of my new segment of the parables called Collective Thursdays. For those of you who are new to the podcast, I do welcome you. Really, it's more than just a podcast. I consider the parables a movement. I consider parables a community. A people's podcast. And I say that because, the intent of the podcast is to inspire, to influence, and to impact us all together. The normal routine is we share conversations with some amazing and impactful people who share their story and everything leading up to where they are today and their success. And through those conversations, it is my hope that you are able to take something away from it, whether it's motivation, inspiration, morals, lessons, wisdom, whatever it is, take it, harvest it, and apply it in any area of your life. I do want to remind everybody that the Parables is a hybrid podcast, meaning it can be watched via video on YouTube or can be listened to by pretty much all podcast streaming platforms. You name it, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, Soundcloud, Castbox, and more. So guys, with this new segment of the Parables, Collective Thursdays, I want to make it clear out there, my goal and mission remains unchanged. I hope you are able to find value in it and use some of the content to supplement your life. And I will admit, although, I do plan on having some guests every so often, it is more of a solo segment of myself sharing some of my thoughts, my ideas, my insight, and my perspective on various topics. Some in relation to my life and what's going on there and my personal journey, and in relation to what's going on in the world. I'm very excited, I gotta say, in that not only do I feel it will tailor to the mission of the parables, but hopefully you're able to gain more insight on who I am and what I'm really about. So with the beginning of the new year and this new podcast segment, I only felt it would be appropriate to give you guys a little background of how the parables came about. And a little background of myself. I got a lot of people who've been asking me, hey EJ, how did you get into podcasting? Are you making any money? How do you, get these guests to come on the parables? So, if you follow me on social media, let's be real. It's no secret I am a healthcare professional. I've been for almost a decade. And man, when I say decade, it really makes me feel old. But anyway, healthcare professional for almost a decade. And, I'm going to keep it very short, but, my passion has really always been people and entrepreneurship, among others. And while I don't take anything away from my healthcare career, I do truly feel that my purpose has evolved to something, larger, I guess you could say. I was going to say greater, but no, I would say larger. I feel I'm in a position to lead with my positive energy and to really continue to inspire and be a voice, to the world. So, with the origin of the parables back in, December 2017, January 2018, I started to brainstorm and ask myself, how can I be of value to others on a wider scale? So, I did a lot of research. I went back and forth with some ideas and concepts. And ultimately, it came down to honing in on what I know I'm good at. And that's spreading positive energy and people. So after it was all said and done, I decided to start a podcast, and the name, man, I gotta tell you, it took me a while. It's kind of like naming your baby, right? I think it actually took me almost 2 to 3 months to pick a name, truthfully. It took me forever. And I'm actually kind of thankful I didn't do something cheesy, like the EJ Cruz show, because, I wanted a name that people could automatically attach themselves to. And hopefully they get an idea just by reading the name of what the podcast is about. So if you look up the word parables, it actually means a story. And while sometimes, I take that back. Actually, many times we get slightly off topic on some of the episodes, although they're still very valuable, I might add. Ultimately, a story is still unfolding within those conversations that we have. And that is why I do bring on some of the most amazing and impactful people, to share their story, with people who and people who I feel are overlooked, that are making a very inspiring, they're making a huge impact. An example of this, if you guys want to listen to episode 7, Drew with Good Company. The guy owns a sneaker consignment shop in the heart of San Bernardino here in Southern California. But in addition to that, he also has a ministry where he's doing amazing community work for the people of less fortunate. I mean, the guy holds prayers every Monday in his business, in his shop. And, those are the type of people that I want to bring on to this podcast to highlight what they're doing and everything that's led up to where they are. Now, mind you, when I finally settled on the name, I actually had no podcast knowledge background whatsoever. It kind of reminded me when I just got into nursing school. Many of my classmates were nurses' aides. They worked at a hospital. They took medical terminology and all that. Me? No. I had no podcast knowledge or experience whatsoever. I didn't know jack shit, to be honest. Jack shit about audio engineering, production, video, because of course we film as well. Editing, you name it, I didn't know jack shit. And truthfully, up until today, sometimes I still feel like I don't know anything. And I tell that to all my podcast guests. I learn something new every episode on the technical side and on the fundamental side as well. But in the end, I didn't make it an excuse. And it took a lot of trial and error, and I invested a lot of money into the equipment. But up until today, as of this recording, I have 14 episodes recorded since launching back in mid-September of 2018, and are now being watched and listened to by 14 different countries. 14 different countries, guys. I don't think I've been to more than 5 countries in my life. And I don't think I know too many people outside of the United States. So it's really mind-blowing. And I got to tell you, it's just been a wild ride. It's really unbelievable. And now that I am slowly but surely becoming experienced, I've really learned to maximize this platform as much as I can. I had a great conversation with a colleague of mine. His name is Ryan, who owns a private label manufacturing company in San Diego. And he said something to me that really stuck to me that I'll never forget. He said something along the lines of, EJ, your podcast is your megaphone. It isn't just like a post on social media. It's your voice to the world. Don't look at it as a microphone. Look at that shit like it's a megaphone. And that has stuck with me since. So, the parables, my 14 guests, and you, the audience, have really changed my life and shifted my mindset. And I thank you all so much. I mean, seriously, if you were to tell me I'd have my own podcast and be sitting down with some of the most influential and impactful people and being watched or listened to across the world, I'd seriously ask you, I'd say, bro, are you on an edible right now? Because really, it's still mind blowing to me. It still hasn't really processed, to be honest. And really, everyone, I appreciate the love and support of the podcast so much. I know I overkill the gratitude, but it wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you all. The likes, the comments, the shares, the messages, the emails, the screenshots, all of it. I appreciate it so much. My aim is for Collective Thursdays to supplement the mission of the parables. And that again is to be of value to you all. And of course, hopefully be fun and entertaining at the same time. I think we all can agree that podcasting is the new trend right now. And trust me, I recognize that. So my goal is to be me, to be authentic, to be different, and of course, the most important, to be of value all at the same time. So, if you know me or follow me on social media, it's no secret. I'm trying to fucking win. I am on a mission to win. I am on a mission to dominate. I am on a mission to be better in every aspect of my life. Seek the best version of myself. And most importantly, here to spread a positive influence in any way I can. So, as 2019 begins, I invite you all. I invite all of you, my listeners, to join me. Join me on this journey of, I guess you could say, world domination. No, but, just being the best version of yourself, being open to conversation, stretching your brain a little bit, harvesting some ideas and different perspectives, and aim towards whatever it is you're trying to do. And I do want to put it out there. It is my goal. Actually, I take that back. In fact, it is only a matter of time because I truly believe this, that the parables will be one of the top podcasts in the world. And that's not cockiness talking. That's not my ego. That's not overly confident. That's just pure belief within myself and thinking big. So yes, Collective Thursdays, obviously dropping on Thursdays, maybe 2 to 3 times a month or however I'm feeling. Because let's be honest, I can do whatever I want. That's the beauty of creating your own shit. And in addition, the last thing I would ever do is put out content just to put out content. I know that content is king, but I would be doing a huge disservice to you all if that was my intent, just to put out content. Trust me when I say this, every episode is carefully and thoughtfully, planned. There's a mission behind it, as I said earlier. And obviously, I'm trying to spread a positive message. So guys, with that, again, I appreciate you all so much. Please follow me on social media. If you don't, it's at It's EJ Cruz. That's ITSEJAYCRUZ. Otherwise, you could follow the Parables Podcast page at the Parables Podcast. Please reach out to me for any questions or comments. Tell me what you think of today's episode. I'm very curious to know. Next week, or episode 13 with Josh Numbers will be dropping. Very excited about that. Please be on the lookout. Such a great guy. Trust me, you don't want to miss that one. If you could do me a favor, guys, and continue to share with others about the podcast, especially those you feel would find value in it. Like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, please leave a rating and write a review. I would greatly appreciate it. 2019, man, exciting year. My personal podcast, my personal/podcast website, will be up very soon, as well as merchandise for sale. So stay tuned for that. The parables, we are here. It's go time. Talk to you guys later.